Thanks for watching Ben Television. I'm so glad you are here. My name is Shegun Johnson, and the program is You Decide. We give you information, facts, and analysis. At the end of the day, you decide. Today, we've got some exciting issues to be discussed, to be analyzed. So be ready to take your decision. In the studio, I have with me our in-house researcher, Nat Yakwo. Nat, you are welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Uh, Good morning. We also have in the studio Mazi Gozin Azu, political analyst.
Good morning, Doctor, and good morning, great and wonderful people all over the world. I say it is well with you, it is well with us, it is well with Nigeria.
Yes. Gossin is a man of many words, so we thank you for coming to the show. Today, also, we have invited an expert in EN and T. He is well known all over the world. He's a specialist and he operates in different continents. It's my special privilege to introduce again Dr. Anthony Owa. Dr. Owa, you are welcome to the program.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that very impressive introduction, Dr. Johnson. And good morning, my fellow panelists, and good morning, viewers.
Yes, we're going to center on you first, Dr. Owa, in a moment. We've been having problems with the BM&E group, the Black, Asian, African, minority ethnic groups here in the United Kingdom. And the government is feeling jittery that the majority of the Africans in diaspora, especially in the United Kingdom, may not take the vaccine. And the British government is wondering that will be a kind of jeopardy to the system. But we've equally been listening to professors of medicine saying the vaccine is okay. So we want the people to take a quality decision. Let's listen from all the way from Nigeria, a professor of medicine, well renowned for his researches, and is the dean of the Faculty of Medical Sciences. Let's listen to him all the way from Nigeria.
My name is Kayode Ijadunola. I'm a professor of public health medicine, and I'm the current provost of the College of Health Sciences at the Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife. I also once served as the director of the Institute of Public Health of the same university. And for many years, I worked on the national committee that worked on the eradication of poliomyelitis in Nigeria. I'm sure we have all heard about this current pandemic of coronavirus that is otherwise called COVID-19. I want to let us know that COVID-19 is real and is killing people all over the world, including in Nigeria. It does not discriminate between the rich and the poor, the educated or the uneducated. Everybody is at risk. But I'm glad to inform us this morning that scientists working all over the world have been able to come up with a vaccine that can help us to be protected from this pandemic. The vaccine works by triggering an immune response in the host, that is, in the person who has taken the vaccine. It allows that person's body to start an immune response to build soldiers to fight this infection, so that even if you come in contact with the infection, it will not cause severe disease or death in you who has acquired the vaccine. And that is how it works. But I know that there are a lot of concerns from people all over the world, including Nigerians, about the safety or otherwise of this vaccine. As a responsible professional, a public health physician of many years standing, and as a family man who wants myself, my family, and fellow Nigerians to be protected, I can assure you this morning that the coronavirus vaccine is safe. It is safe, it's of good quality, and it is efficacious. It is potent, and it can work to do the job that we intend it to do. It is not going to cause any harm for anybody, and it is not intended to wipe out any population of any country, as we are beginning to hear from all sorts of sources. Yes, every vaccine has a side effect. Everyone, including the coronavirus vaccine. The side effects are not unsurmountable. They are not things that are unusual. I've spoken to my colleagues all over the world.
Well, you've heard from the horse's mouth, but we have our own doctor in diaspora, Dr. Anthony Owa. We want you to shed light on this vaccine. We've heard from a professor all the way from Nigeria. Dr. Owa, you have your ears on the ground in the United Kingdom. You've heard the pros and the cons. Please, can you give us your take on this vaccine? Because that's where we are now, and Britain is doing very well in terms of 5 million people have taken the vaccine. And give us the pros and the cons that the people might be going through right now.
I think the problem is a lot of misinformation has been circulating around even before the vaccine arrived. Rumors about people trying to decimate population for material gain. Even the rumor that the African community were immune to the vaccine, to the COVID virus itself, which obviously was proved to be wrong. Now, there are also rumors about various remedies, which made me start writing videos or producing videos about things that can prevent COVID from occurring. Onions were mentioned, turmeric were mentioned, and garlic were mentioned. Now, all these things have dubious clinical qualities. However, the main thing was to try and prevent them by building your immunity. Now, the only thing that we know that can kill the virus is actually your own immunity, the antibodies, as the professor quite eloquently put. These are the soldiers of the body, and when they come out to fight, they don't take prisoners. They kill the viruses, and then they leave some forces around called the antibodies, which attack the virus when it appears. Now, what the scientists have done and have been doing for many years is trying to create vaccines, especially since the first SARS COVID epidemic that we had almost 20 years ago, of ways of producing vaccines more efficiently. And which was one of the reasons why the vaccines were ready in a relatively short period of time. Now, there have been different approaches. There are about more than 100 different vaccines that have been produced. 50 are reaching clinical stage and 9 on the market. And they're all based on different platforms with the sole aim of inducing your own immunity response to produce antibodies or soldiers to fight off the viruses. And that includes the traditional platform, which is the AstraZeneca, where they use the traditional way of producing viruses. And these include the live, the killed, or protein vaccines. And you have the American Pfizer combining with the German company BioNTech, and Moderna producing using mRNA, which is basically a kind of protein produced in the body, or a gene produced in the body, which helps with production of proteins. Now, proteins are the building blocks of the body. This now causes the body to start producing these antibodies synthetically. So we have a way of producing them. We have our own natural mRNA. What the scientists have done is produce an mRNA that tries to stimulate this immune response so you can get a faster response to them. So all the vaccines are doing, trying to improve the body's ability to fight off the virus. And that's what the virus platform do. Now, just like anything at all you introduce in the body, including food, if you eat too much food, you get a stomachache, which can be a side effect of eating too much. Every single thing that we use can cause side effects. The idea is to try and mitigate all this, or try to reduce the chance of these side effects causing problems. The vaccines generally show very little side effects, local side effects and systemic ones. There are very few reports of very severe side effects, but these may not these are still being investigated, but they're very few. So in general terms, the vaccines are safe to use. They haven't been tested in children or pregnancy, which is the reason why various authorities are reluctant to vaccinate these groups of people unless they are health workers who are exposed to viruses. In other words, there's a risk-benefit ratio looked into. Now, in summary, if you are shielding afraid of the virus, if you haven't had the virus before, if you are exposed in terms of where you work, healthcare workers, transport workers, the people on the trains, care workers, teachers, if you are shielding, in other words, you have underlying medical conditions, you should be rushing down to get the vaccine, because this will help build up your immunity. Certain vaccines are ideal for even patients that have immunodeficiency, because what it does is try to stimulate a response to what you have to try and make sure that you are protected against the virus. Because believe you me, having the virus is not fun. 40% of people may well go around without much problems, but another 40% are staying at home and receiving treatment. But the 20% that have severe infection really struggle even after they recovered. 2% mortality out of a population, say Nigeria, population of 200 million, UK also very large population. 2% is a very large number, and no responsible government would like to see its population decimated, whether you're BME or otherwise. No responsible government will be happy seeing that population decimated, because it actually has economic, social implications, apart from personal implications for individual families. So my advice is, once you're within that group and you have the vaccines available, you need to actually protect yourself and protect your family so that you do not go through severe effects. Now, what the vaccines does is improve your immunity. It doesn't mean that you not necessarily get the vaccine, you not get the infection. What it means is that if the infection should come near you, you will not have the serious side effects of the COVID-19 vaccine, which require hospitalization for most people. And that makes it easier for the health service itself to deal with the patients that come in, because right now the health service is overwhelmed. Patients that require medical attention for other conditions like cancer, even strokes, are having difficulty being treated because all the beds are occupied with patients affected by COVID, which can take many weeks of hospitalization, even if it doesn't result in the ultimate loss, that is death, occurring in these patients.
Okay, we'll be asking you questions, putting ourselves in the community, and I will ask Nat. Nat, what would you like to ask the doctor concerning taking the vaccine? Do you have any fears, or the people you've come across, what fears do they have, so that you can ask the experts now?
Yeah, my concern here is that it looks we are not being told the whole truth and nothing but the truth about the vaccine. The number of people that have taken the jab, is there anyone that had any negative effect? And what is the percentage? We are not being told that. We are just being told the so-called success story. And the pharmaceuticals are not coming out to talk. It is the medical doctors who are involved in administering these jabs that are talking. So what's going on?
Yes,
your specific question is, we're not being told the full story. Whilst I won't hold brief for everyone, I can understand this sentiment, because that's the reason why a lot of misinformation has been allowed to disseminate. There are reactions. What people were initially told was it's going to kill the virus. No, it will protect you from having severe effects of the virus. It's not necessarily going to kill the virus. Your own immunity is what kills the virus. And what it does is make sure that you do not struggle from it. Now, like I said earlier on, every single thing you administer into the body can cause side effects. Even food, like I said, the vaccine itself has side effects. And most of the side effects that you have are mild, relating mainly to the injection site And also, it can cause problems with weakness and chills, which is why sometimes some people are asked to take painkillers or in order to make it less of a problem. You are expected to wait around because you can have allergic reactions to various components of the vaccine, which is one of the reasons why the recent advice that if you do have a history of allergies to vaccines, you need to let the staff know. So they'll make a decision, a clinical decision, whether it's appropriate to give the vaccine or do a test to see, or rather keep you there for a little longer to see if you do develop an adverse reaction, in which case treatment can be effected to deal with the problems that arise. So I agree with your point that not enough information is given out, but this is a new process. It's a long time since one has been involved in massive vaccination of this type. It's also an emergency in that a lot of people are dying needlessly because they are not immune to it. It's a new virus, so our bodies need to know how to deal with it. And vaccine, apart from getting the infection itself, vaccine is one way of preparing your body for this new virus that we are faced with.
Okay, thank you. Mazi Godson, do you have any question for the doctor?
Yeah. Good morning, please. I don't have any real question for the doctor. He has simply explained the whole fundamental facts about the vaccinations and the hesitation of the Black community trying to key into the vaccination program. The whole truth is that irrespective of whatever anyone says or anybody says, no one individual can decide to wipe away a particular ethnic group or race community or race group in any part of the world unnecessarily with the issues of a global agenda. So all these whole
theories,
conspiracy theories or conspiracy media propaganda are just to infiltrate the whole process. I believe that wherever virus or wherever pandemic or epidemic situation that affects humanity, humanity in its own self should be able to find a solution to it. Because like I keep saying, the greatest problem of mankind is man himself. Man creates the problem we are facing. And at the same time, God has given man the reasonable right to also find a solution to the problems they create. And that is why I keep saying man was created and at the same time was given the absolute dominion upon the earth. Decide what they do and how they go about it. And for us, at most times, we tend to always put most blames at the table of God. Everything is, that's how God wants it. Everything is God has allowed it to happen. Everything is God made it to happen. Everything is all God. And God is wondering, like, how can everything be him when he has given man the dominion, the right to do what they are doing? And so I feel that there have been so many cases of viral issues centuries ago to date, and there have been vaccines that were developed to counter such virus or such epidemics, and most of them have been working. From the days of smallpox or black pox to all the ones that are happening recently, they have been vaccines, and people have been coming out of it. The polio issue, people think that polio will never come to an end or will never be brought to a kind of a reasonable and minimal control. But today, people are happy all over the world that polio is now greatly or highly been eradicated in most part of the world. So also is leprosy. And all these things needs vaccines, and vaccines are created for all these purposes. So I feel that the Black community, like I have a program I'm putting together for Friday for the Black community here in Peterborough to share experiences of those who have taken the vaccine within the Black community here in Peterborough, and to advise. You see, it's about individuals, and individuals should not take their case to be a generalistic propagation of an issue.
Okay.
If somebody feels that his body is not between those vaccines, he should not use the fact that.
I want to ask the doctor a few questions. Dr. Owa, I read something. I'm not an expert in isotopes and carbon things like that, but I read something somewhere that man is made up of carbon chemicals, and therefore, if you look at the amount of electrons, neutrons, and protons, it is 666. And the Christians are scared that this could be another 666 issue. Can you please dispute or otherwise this fear that this may be the next step to putting chips into people's bodies, and that these vaccines are programmed for that way or in that manner? Is there anything you want to say, especially at the heel of this 666 thing?
Like I did come across some very weird commentaries, which are credit to some doctors. One that strikes mind, a so-called researcher from the States giving a talk to an Israeli person. I do not know whether it's an authentic station or not, but first it was suggesting that the testing swabs was a means of taking or introducing chips, which is absolute nonsense. And even the technique which is described whereby you're going to put the swab through to the brain and get if anyone's putting the swab in that direction, they're actually doing the wrong thing, because it's supposed to go to the back of the nose and the back of the mouth, as the throat. So it's ridiculous to suggest that you're going to put a chip in the brain when you're not supposed to be there, and the swabs are not designed for that nature. And the same thing in terms of the treatment, the vaccines don't contain chips. As far as we're aware, the administration of the chips is a completely different thing, and that's something that people implant underneath the skin with a different mechanism entirely, which is what you see on the TV and the movies, but certainly not via vaccination program. I take the point of Marsley talking about vaccinations over the years, initially introduced by Edward Jenner in 1769 or thereabouts, and having to do various research. And yes, there have been trials and tribulations, how people are trying to innovate, produce vaccines for the general good. And in the years gone by, there have been less ethical ways of doing this research. I know some people have mentioned the toxicity trial. I mentioned even more recently, people mentioned in the early 90s about the study that was done without proper consent in northern Nigeria. We've heard all that, but the eyes of the world are all wide open. We have different means of introducing media, so we all know about various processes. This is an open procedure, and even with the vaccination program that's going on, all the results are being tied and monitored, and is being watched carefully by everybody. Now, we of the Black and ethnic minority community are faith. We tend to believe a lot in the supernatural or in the spiritual, and this is where I think the faith community, faith ministries, various churches, various mosques, various ritualists can play a large part, because a lot of people take their word for it. And some of these various weird and wonderful theories emanated from some faith leaders who were irresponsible in some of the messages they were putting out, which have been disproven. I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done. The 666 theory, I'm sure I would have seen it under the microscope if that had been true. I'm sure it would have been in John's without true, but it is not true. They're all what the previous president of the United States used to term as fake news, or certainly, well, I can't call it a fact, but it's not a fact, but it's basically fake news.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. If you want to respond, you are watching us at home, you want to put a view to Dr. Owa, or you want to put a view to the program, you can email us, nigeriansdecide@yahoo.com. It's on your screen right now, nigeriansdecide@yahoo.com. For any fear you have, we will read it out. And if you want to challenge what the experts are saying, please feel free, because we really want to make everybody have a quality opinion before taking their decision. Dr. Owa, I have one special question for you. In case everyone takes the vaccine around me, do I still need to take the vaccine, since I will almost be free from COVID-19? People will not be able to infect me with it.
No, you would need to take the vaccine, because by general description or definition, the vaccine is there to try and make your body feel there's a viral infection going on. It doesn't necessarily mean that you cannot get an infection. It's generally supposed to stop you from getting very sick from it and having some of the ill effects, the side effects from the infection. So they can, if you do not have antibodies yourself, you can get infected, which is why it's quite right that the government is making us well aware that even if you're vaccinated, you need to continue with social distancing, wash your hands frequently and thoroughly, and also when a mask cover your face and your nose. And one thing that seems to be missed out, you need to protect your eyes as well, because the eyes is also a port of entry, which is why the face shield is used when we're in the clinical situation. I tend to go around with my wide-brimmed glasses, not because I like to look like a professor, but by and large, I generally prefer to protect my eyes if I'm being unconscious about things. So protecting your eyes will also be a sensible thing to do. But more importantly, cover your nose, cover your mouth. The main aim for the mask really is to protect everybody else. And if you protect everybody else, you are protected. It's not necessary for your protection, because the masks that will prevent things from coming into you are the high-grade masks that you use in hospitals. But face covering will stop these aerosols that you project out in the community. That way, the virus transmission will be broken, and we will all begin to start doing things normally if we respect each other by not giving everybody else our own germs. So really, anyone around you should wear a face covering to cover the nose and mouth, and also make sure that their personal hygiene is of a very high standard.
Okay, does it mean we will be taking the vaccine every year if it is still around?
I think that's the thing that's not quite clear and also being monitored. No one really knows how long the immunity lasts for. Initially, for example, from getting the COVID exposure, we do know that some people were getting reinfected fairly quickly, some were not. Recently, I read that some people are suggesting that the immunity from the infection can last up to a year. The pharmaceuticals are saying that their vaccines will probably produce at least an equivalent level of protection. But the work is still going on. People are still being monitored for what we call neutralizing antibodies, or antibodies, and also their clinical response if they come in contact with people with COVID-19. And that would give an indication whether they need to be tested to see if they have the infection. So no one really knows, which is why talk about a vaccination passport is very premature, because no one really knows how long the immunity lasts for. It may well be an annual thing like the flu, where people that are vulnerable are given vaccinations on a yearly basis. And it may well be like others, which last much longer. No one really knows the answer to that. But the immediate concern is that everyone should be protected, so that we try and break the cycle of transmission of the virus, and whilst not getting too sick.
Okay. We'll just close this segment by listening to Dr. Fauci. Let's have that video by Dr. Fauci, and then we'll come back to the program. Dr. Fauci is the one in charge of the COVID-19 program in the United States.
And this is Dr. Fauci because he knows that, because of the past, certain things have happened. They've done experiments on Black people in the past. Dr. Fauci had to go on TV and reassure Black people why they should take the vaccine. Listen to this.
I want to say to my African-American brothers and sisters is that the vaccine that you're going to be taking was developed by an African-American woman. And that is just a fact. I mean, that is a fact. And I think that's some of the things that people don't fully appreciate.
So that's just a fact. You got to listen to the language, yeah? When we talk about the hidden sides of white supremacy, I'm big on the language. Listen to how they talk. For the people that have done the course, on the course, we teach that we are not the experts. They are the experts. Anytime they're talking, we have to listen because they're the experts. He said to my African-American brothers and sisters, the vaccine that you're going to be taking, that's what he said, the vaccine that you're going to be taking was made by an African-American woman. And that's just a fact. And this is her here. But when I saw this picture, it reminded me of this picture. Does anyone know who that woman is at the bottom? That woman is Eunice Verdell Rivers Laurie. She was the nurse that they got to influence Black people to take part in the Tuskegee experiment. Yeah, so this is her here. Again, a lie of influence. They're not going to believe those two guys. Let's get someone who looks like them. And she was going around influencing Black people to take part in the Tuskegee experiment. Yeah.
Yes, Dr. Fauci said it was developed like Black people, but Black people are trying to say they're using them. But we're going to break. When we return, we want to discuss issues on Africa. At the end of the day, you are going to decide whether you take it or not. But what I want to add is that COVID-19 kills people, and we don't want you to die uselessly. If there are means to keep you alive, please think about it. Take a quality decision and take the vaccine if you have to. God bless you. Let's go on a break. We'll be right back.
Ben TV, your ethnic and Africa-led television, welcomes your input, contribution, and support to facilitate our continuous program production, campaign for projects, and other media-related services. We have been here for closer to 2 decades.
Welcome back to You Decide. This is Ben Television. We have been praying in Nigeria, praying the president to change the service chiefs so that there could be a fresh breath in securing Nigeria from external elements, from terrorists. And it appears the prayer has now been answered. The president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria announced the following new service chiefs: Major General Leo Irabor, Chief of Defense Staff; Major General I. Atahiru, Chief of Army Staff; Rear Admiral A.Z. Gambo, that's Chief of Naval Staff, and AVM IO Amao, Chief of Air Staff. This is the list of the new service chiefs. We want to bring you up to date on these new chiefs before we go into the state of insecurity they're coming to man. Nat, bring us up to date on all these names. Who are they? Do we know them? What do we know of them? Do you think they can do this job? Nat, please quickly do a bit of analysis of them.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Johnson. We now have 3 new service chiefs and a new chief of defense staff. The chief of defense staff is Leo Irabo, chief of army staff Ibrahim Atahiru, chief of naval staff Awal Gambo, and then chief of air staff I.O. Alao. These are the new chief of staff, and then the CDS. The CDS, the Chief of Defense Staff, Leo Irabo, currently serving as a director of TRADOC in Mina. TRADOC is the intelligence unit of the military, and they train intelligence officers. Before then, Irabo had served in the Northeast geopolitical zone, where the epicenter of Boko Haram is. He was in charge of the operation Lafia Dole, which means peace by force, in the Northeast. And the Northeast covers Borno State, Yobe State, Adamawa State, and Taraba State, and Bauchi State. He served there, and he did a very good job. And the commentary on him was that he's a professional infantry soldier, and he had a lot of commendations when he was there. But as usual of the military, he was posted. He was posted out of the war zone. The new chief of army staff, Major General Ibrahim Atahiru, also served in the Northeast war zone with Operation Lafia Dole. Before then, he was with the military information unit in the army headquarters. He was a brigadier then, but when posted to the war theater, he was promoted to Major General around 2017. But his exit from that war theater had 2 or 3 other stories to tell. Some say he didn't perform well. Some said he performed blunders, because there were a lot of attacks on our military formations, and a lot of ambushes, and a lot of killings of civilians. The chief of army staff then, Buratai, gave him a task. Buratai told him to produce Shakarau in 40 days. That he could not do, and then he was posted back to the army headquarters. Gambo, the new chief of naval staff, he's been in naval operations for quite some time, and he was heading a naval unit in Lagos before this new appointment as chief of naval staff. Alao also, he's been in the military, especially the Air Force, Nigeria Air Force. He has clocked many air miles in flight. He is a professional air combatant. just as the former chief of air staff was, Sadiq. Alao has clocked in many air miles in compacting the terrorists, especially also in the northeast and also in the northwest. If you look at the geopolitical zone spread, the chief of defense staff is from the south, from Delta State, around Agbo. Ibrahim Atahiru is from the northeast geopolitical zone. He didn't really have much to say about his performance, looking at his curriculum vitae and other things that related to him. The chief of naval staff is from Kano State, the northwestern zone, that's Gambo. The chief of air staff is from Osun State, Oshogbo. And so you notice that if you look at the distribution by geopolitical zones, the southeast is not represented. The southeastern zone is not represented. And if we look at, again, it is happening, the three service chiefs are all Muslims, and the chief of defense staff, we really don't know where he belongs to. Some people say he's a Muslim, he's married a wife from the north. And so these are briefly what the new army structure, armed forces structure looks like as of now.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll be coming back to you. Mazi Godson, is this a new development? Is this Uhuru? Are we got to independence now?
We have not gotten any form of independence. Neither have we gotten any form of
freedom,
security, liberty in the Nigerian security challenge that we are facing today in the country, until we see the new ideas or the new security architecture that these new chiefs are going to put on the table and begin to implement in the next coming days. And if we continue to experience the kind of security challenges that the country and its people has been facing in the last 5 years, then is as much as business as usual, and nothing so effective or impactful about the replacement of the chief of staff. So this has been a clamoring of many well-meaningful Nigerians in the last 5 years or 4 years or so, asking Mr. President to have a rethink about the military apparatus and the personnel that are managing the military apparatus in Nigeria with regards to their inability to cope the insecurity situation, both in the south, northeast, northwest, north central, the whole of the south at the moment. And if at this point Mr. President has decided to do that, at the same time he has to be able to make a very emphatic statement with a strong mandate that the new service chiefs has to deliver in their first 100 days in office. They have to show Nigerians that the change of office and personnel is for a reason, and the reason is to bring about a freedom context in the way security issues are being handled in Nigeria. And moreover, the political context of it will always be an issue in terms of the geopolitical structure of the new chief of staffs, which does not reflect the entire representation of the geopolitical structure in Nigeria. But the fact is that people are crying that the Southeast is not well represented in this structure. But I would say that how many Southeast military personnel, both Navy, Air Force, and Army, are within the rank to be promoted or be appointed as a chief of staff? No single personnel of the military from the Southeast are up to the rank of a major general. I'm not sure.
It's been a systemic issue. It has been a systemic issue to get us to this point.
Most of them have been retired since last year. Most of the high-ranking people from the Southeast have been retired from the military, both Air Force, Navy, Army, last year. So it is difficult. You cannot go and promote a colonel.
Sergeant Major.
You cannot go and promote a colonel to become a chief of staff when you have huge number of people as major general, or promote a brigadier general to become a chief of staff when they are major generals already. So it's a big issue. And so we have to look at the structure of the personnel in the military and find out, are there Igbos within the ranking file that will be able to be given that charge? No. So it's a
systemic issue. All right. Thank you very much. I want to see if Dr. Uwa is still with us, because Dr. Uwa, I know you are a medical expert, but we are at the moment talking about the state of security in Nigeria. My colleagues and I, we've been on it for over a year now. Every program we discuss the insecurity in Nigeria. And I know you go to Nigeria often. How do you feel as a citizen in Nigeria concerning the security? What would be your opinion? Because we want to show some clips in a moment, but we want to hear from you first.
It's a general feeling of increasing unease and weariness, because everything in Nigeria seems to be getting worse in terms of the tribalization of the country. I listened with interest with concerns about officers in the Southeast being marginalized or retired early. But I do know officers in the Southwest have been retired, and I'm sure that if they were not retiring officers from the northern and the middle belt areas, we would not be having any officer from any other ethnic group. There are only a few areas few positions that be occupied. I think the most important thing that we need to focus on as a country is merit. Now, the problem with it is because of the way the country has been run, merit seems to be taking a back burner, and a lot of emphasis has been on the ethnic group of whoever is put in charge. And it has to be said, it doesn't help when there is an appearance of ethnicity in the selection of people for posts who ultimately do not perform the roles that they're meant to perform. And also, it doesn't help when certain sections of society seem to be immune to punishment. And one of the problems is Nigeria is not necessarily having the right laws, it's a matter of enforcement of the existing laws. And when a particular ethnic group seems not to be charged with any of the offenses or seem to be released prematurely without due process, then it leaves ground for a lot of discord amongst the nation. Now you'll find that if there's any kind of kidnapping occurring, regardless of anything, the first thing people are saying is he's a herder or he's from a partner ethnic group. Whilst we do know sometimes we actually find it's the locals are involved, and most of these people cannot operate in a vacuum. But for the general person on the street, all we see is the violence, and all we see is that the government seems not to be protecting us as well as we expect it to, despite the fact that they want to collect more taxes or take money from our dormant accounts. And this is a trend that does not help anyone who is not a politician.
All right. We want to show you a clip right now. It is about the level of insecurity in the Southwest, and the populace appear to be taking the law into their own hands. And it has led to the fame of one man called Sunday Igboho. But before we go into who Sunday Igboho is, let's take a look at this clip at a place very, very dangerous to the community.
Right now, you can see it. Our boys are sharing. Look at dollar why. Look at dollar why. So no more Fulani. This Yoruba nation. I'm on top of that. Wo, I just get more. Ìgbòho Sunday, bàbá wà mí báyìí. Abẹ́gẹ̀ kú, ilé kú, ṣàtìlíbẹ̀ ń lọ. Yorùbá ìṣeré mọ́ no more Fulani. Ẹ bá lọ ṣe bí wèrè. Àdábì máa bẹ yín, no more Fulani. This Yoruba nation. Ṣàtìlíbẹ̀ ń lọ gbélé. Biafra nation. Yoruba nation. Biafra nation. Yoruba nation. No more Fulani. Ó ti yé yín. Wọ́n máa pọ̀ létí yàrá yín bíbá. Ó ti yé yín. Wọ́n Fulani tó wáyé báyìí lẹ́ẹ̀ kú. Fulani ẹ̀ fẹ́ kú.
Now, for those who don't understand that language, it's saying that no more Fulani terrorizing the Yorubas, and that is a Yoruba nation, and Sunday Igboho is the one in charge of delivering Yoruba Nigerians from the Fulanis, and they were carrying their ding guns and they were ready to shoot. In 2 to 3 minutes, I'm going to ask Nat Iyako, bring us up to date in what is happening in the Southwest and the rise of Sunday Igboho as the Messiah. Nat.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Johnson. The rise of the phenomenon called Chief Sunday Adeyemo Igboho is a response, or is in the process of a vacuum being left in providing security for life and property in Nigeria, and with specifically the Southwest geopolitical zone, narrowed down to Oyo and Ondo state. In the last 11 years or thereabout, Nigeria has been faced with the challenge of Boko Haram and other associated security issues that have spread to other parts of the country. Sunday Igboho has been around for quite some time. He's in the age bracket of 45 to 47 years old, and he has been a recurring decimal in the political affairs of the Southwest. But quietly, it seems he didn't get much publicity as he is getting now. So this event spanning maybe the last 2 or 3 weeks, where quit notices were given to the Fulani people in Ondo State by the governor, and in Oyo State, Sunday Igboho went to Iganga, to the settlement of the Sariki Fulani, and gave the man a 7-day notice. He gave the notice because of the kidnapping, abduction, rape, and other crimes that were being committed in that area of Shaki, Okeogun, Ibarapa, and those local government areas in particular. And Sunday being a youth leader, a youth mobilizer, some call him freedom fighter. He took it upon himself as a non-state actor to go and give a quick notice, because he wanted to liberate his people from the Fulani domination, Fulani dominating their land. In fact, sometimes acquiring and wanting to grab their land. When the notice expired, sometimes last weekend, Saturday or Sunday, Sunday Igboho went back to Iganga, the Sariki Fulani's settlement. He went there with his followers and evicted forcefully or violently the Seriki Fulani, and burnt his settlement, burnt some cars. The Fulanis have to run into the bush. And then the issue now was a national issue, where the Inspector General of Police signaled the police commissioner in Oyo State to go to Igboho to arrest Sunday. Between Ibadan and Igboho, Sunday settlement, the police commissioner had to take a very smart and intelligent decision that she will go to Igboho, but not to arrest Sunday. And they ended up in addressing a press conference, suing for peace for everybody. And then on Tuesday, 3 a.m., hoodlums went to Sunday's house, one of his property, though he's no longer living there, and burnt down the place. That is, so investigations are still on to see who was responsible. Ondo State, the quick notice given by the governor, Akeredolu, expired too on Sunday or thereabout. And the Amotekun were mobilized to ensure that the notice was brought into effect, the quick notice was brought into effect. But why Akeredolu had to give that quick notice was similar to what was happening in Igboho or Ibarapa area. The Fulanis or herdsmen had invaded their forest reserve and were using that as a den of kidnappers, abductors. Other crimes were being committed there, and their forest reserves are not settlement areas. Forest reserves are forest reserves to protect the environment.
All right.
So let me just end by saying
thank you, Nat. I'll come back to you in a minute. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Just watching the time as well. Mazi Gosling, it appears that Nigeria is now being controlled by warlords. Is unfortunate, but the Sunday Igboho could not be arrested. I'm not asking him to be arrested. He has become the messiah of some Yorubas, and the Inspector General could not arrest him because the unrest he will have from that arrest will not be palatable at all. The governor, unfortunately, is at loggerhead with Igboho, believing that his power and authority are being shared by this man who did not contest election. But this man, Sunday, said, we helped you to snatch ballot boxes for you to win. What are you talking about? We know what you do, all you politicians. We have been there for you. You cannot fight us now. And this man has got some meat. Do you think Nigeria has got to that position of warlords determining what will happen?
Well, Doc, this is the obvious thing, and it is happening live, and it's becoming a real life issue with Nigerians. If you draw back to history, you realize that what is happening both in the Southwest and in the Southeast and in the
Northeast,
in the South at the moment is what began a couple of years ago in the Northeast, precisely in Borno State, when this so-called Boko Haram leader, Shekau, is it Shekau or what do they call him? Started as a political talk. Shekau. And his group started as a political talk, used to bring electoral victory to their principals. And at the point, they decided to share powers with the principals, which the principals felt is not right. That led to this disconnection between the Togri youth leader, community, whatever, went out of control, and then metaphors into what we have today as Boko Haram, who, out of their disagreement with the establishment, felt that they need to come up with an ideology that will help them mobilize more of the grassroots people to them and begin a campaign against the establishment. And the campaign,
Mazi, I just looked at the time now, and we must go on a break. When we return, I'll allow you to continue. We just must go on break according to our schedule. Viewers, don't go away. We'll be right back.
Ben TV, your ethnic and Africa-led television, welcomes your input, contribution, and support to facilitate our continuous program production, campaign for projects, and other media-related services. We have been here for closer to 2 decades.
Welcome back. This is You Decide. We give you information, facts, and analysis, but at the end of the day, you are the one going to decide, either politically or personally for yourself. Before I ask Mazi to continue with his position, let me show you a clip by Professor Wole Soyinka saying that President Buhari is not particularly fit to run the country when we talk about insecurity in Nigeria, that the way he handled it in the first term of 4 years was not good enough, and nobody should have elected him to be to take the second term. But well, that's history now. He's been there for over 1.5 years. But listen to what Wole Soyinka said and his opinion about Muhammadu Buhari.
Listen, Ruga is going to be an explosive issue, and it had better be handled very carefully. Why is it that we fail to take our models from successful performers? There are ways in which people deal and have dealt for decades, for centuries, with cattle everywhere. I travel everywhere. There's nothing so strange, nothing mysterious about cattle rearing. Why should cattle become a problem just because we like to eat beef? I don't understand it. There are solutions which are very simple. People have talked about ranching, but the ranching has got to be done in places which are environmentally congenial to that particular kind of trade, and at the same time do not afflict humanity. What's the point trying to provide food and the food chokes us, which is what cattle and cattle rearers have been doing. when you have a situation where cattle walk up to my own door in Abeokuta, which is supposed to be a residential area, there's a problem. When cattle go to Djibouti and eat up Shodipe's, who's planted teak, and they eat up the seedlings, and this is somebody working towards guaranteeing the environment by replacing. He's a furniture maker, and he plants trees to replace the trees, the wood which is used, the timber which he has used. And then cattle come and eat up all of that. And you expect people to sit down and be quiet. And then Buhari took such a long time. For me, he deserved, and I've written this down, he deserved to have lost the last election, if only on account of the lackadaisical and attitude which he took to the issue of cattle rearers. People have been killed in hundreds till today. And it's only because of the failure of leadership at the critical time. That's the most important. And the cattle rearers have been given a sense of impunity. They kill without any compunction. The dry farmers also were contributing to the food solution of the country. They drive them away, burn their crops, eat their crops, and then you come with Ruga. I think there's going to be trouble in this country if this cattle rearing issue is not handled imaginatively and with humanity as the priority. There cannot be any kind of society where cattle take priority over human beings. It is as elementary as that.
Courtesy Channels Television there. Thank you very much. Mazi, please continue, because I'm going to ask Dr. Owa his own feeling of what Professor Wole Soyinka just said. Mazi Godson.
Yeah,
yes.
As I was saying,
please continue.
As I was saying earlier on with regards to the emerging warlords that are springing up across the ethnic groups in Nigeria, I think it has all been as a result of the differences between political machineries and political toggery usages that has fallen out of favors with their principals, and then are turning into a thorn in the flesh of most political arrangements in Nigeria. Just like it started in the Northeast with the Shehu, whatever they call him, that led to the emergence of Boko Haram. And Boko Haram, and one philosophy you understand in conflict is that conflict and violence breeds terrorism. So when you have conflicts and violence as an open window in any society, those who have an ulterior motive of getting into such conflicts and violence to cause terror begin to use that as a window to cause their terroristic agenda, which is what Boko Haram has created. So you realize that people who tend to be battling and fighting for power tussle between Togri groups and their political principals in the north have ended up opening a window for the Islamic terrorist train that is coming from the Sahel, all the way from Burkina Faso, Mali, Egypt. They all took advantage from Libya. They took advantage of that open window and begin to infiltrate.
So will Sunday Igboho be the kind of terrorism
now we have
Godson, please answer this question. Sunday Igboho has become like a kind of warlord. Nobody could touch him. Is that a kind of way Nigeria will go on?
Well, but nobody could have touched the guy in the south, in the northeast that brought about Boko Haram to it. So if nobody can touch him, then Igboho is making it principally clear that nobody can touch him also. And you see, this whole thing is about the way we are managing our security challenges in the country. If the government fails to manage the security, you open the window for certain individuals to become an overlord of the system, and then they begin to create. You remember there was a time when we used to have when the Niger Delta people started their crisis. in the Niger Delta, and then kidnapping become a daily business. But then the Niger Delta people were kidnapping foreign expatriates in the creeks and in the oil rigs, and then request for money. But suddenly, some people in the southeast took it as a business, which led to the emergence of Bakassi in the southeast. And what happened? Bakassi started killing people anyhow, and then suddenly overwhelmed the people in the southeast. Bakassi was outlawed, and suddenly now we're having the same system rising up again. The fact is that Nigerians are looking for any slightest loophole to create. You see, Boko Haram issue brought about banditry, from banditry to kidnapping, kidnapping now to warlords. The issue is that some of these people we are terming herdsmen, because of the fact that the security architecture in Nigeria is not doing a thorough, in-depth investigation and analysis to really find out these people that are being termed herdsmen, are they really herdsmen? These people that has been termed, I'm not saying there's nothing like herdsmen, they are herdsmen, but the fact is that sometimes when they show you videos of herdsmen that are running the cattle, you realize that most of them are carrying sticks. So you are wondering, those who carry guns, where are they with the cattle? Those who are really following the cattle with sticks, are they still, do they have guns with them, or do they hide the guns in the animals? So you realize that there are people who are taking advantage of these things, hiding in the name of herdsmen and causing a lot of havoc. There are people who are going to take advantage of Sunday Igboho's intervention, even though he is a youth leader. He is known with his thuggery activities. There are those even within him that will infiltrate the system and begin to use that to cause mayhem in the name of political intervention. People in politics.
Okay, let me bring in our other colleague, Dr. Anthony.
It's very complex.
Dr. Owa, you listen to Professor Wole Soyinka. To what extent will you agree with him that Muhammadu Buhari is docile and he should not have been re-elected based on not being able to handle the issue of herdsmen insecurity?
The issue of re-election is a different issue because it was not just barely on security that he was elected, and we only had two credible candidates. And of the two credible candidates, people chose who they felt was the best one. However, as regards the security issue, then I agree with him there leaves a lot to be desired. As Mercy pointed out, the vacuum created by the security forces, not just the military, but the police, and the seemingly inability for them to enforce the law, has led to people taking the law into their hands and looking towards people that are not officials of the law, such as political thugs like Sunday Igboho, and you also have people administering justice. Even you see thugs in Aguda area where I grew up in as a teenager. You have the same thing in Lagos. You have the same thing with the Niger Delta area. Has the genesis of Boko Haram. And generally, wherever you have an absence of law enforcement and insecurity, you have these stuff coming up. Usually, these are people sponsored by local politicians, have given lots of money, been given arms, and then dumped. And then suddenly they become either hoodlums for hire, or they administer their own justice and extort from the local populace who are afraid of them. In the case of Sunday Igboho, he said quite clearly that he is actually from that part of the country, and he cannot stand by and see his own relatives being subjugated by these apparent herdsmen who come from elsewhere and terrorize the community, which is why he acted the way he did. And quite rightly, I thought the police officer, the in charge, showed a lot of maturity in not rushing in and allegedly going to arrest people without trying to pacify them, because it's one thing fighting a battle, but it's another thing winning the war. To get security secured, it has to be a war of both minds and the effort itself. you have to have the cooperation of the populace to be policed. And if the populace do not have confidence in the security apparatus by its actions or inactions, then you will have them turn into thugs or unlicensed officers to enforce their own security.
Yeah. But the challenge is that the lacuna created by the absence of federal government, state government apparatuses have led to that. I want you to listen to this clip. This is the clip where some northern youth elements say that they are giving a quick notice to the southerners living in the north. That explains to you why people like Sunday Igboho are filling the gap. Listen to this.
For the avoidance of doubt, we advise the federal authorities and the southern leaders to heed the 30-day notice, failing which we would most definitely be left with no option than to consider resorting to our decisive line of action. We remind the nation that so long as the Fulani will not be allowed to enjoy their citizens' right of living and flourishing in any part of this country, including the South, no one should also expect us to allow any Southerner to enjoy the same in northern Nigeria.
Credit to Channels Television. You see clearly that everybody is acting on his own, and it's like, we don't have government, and Bushoyinka said they don't deserve to be, Buhari did not deserve to be re-elected, because there are two things that the government should provide the people: security and welfare. And the style of Buhari have been to go to sleep, and once in a while he's waking up, and he doesn't even normally speak to the nation, but through his press assistants. And this is the challenge that the country is finding itself. Nat, how do we now? What can we now say to the nation due to the amount of insecurity that we are facing? How do we respond to these? Is it to just hail Sunday Igboho and the likes to come out and be defending the cause of the people, or the government should reshape? What do you say?
I think, as I said earlier on, a vacuum was created in the security apparatus, in the security strategy, and then nature abhors a vacuum. And so individuals like Sunday Igboho popped up because there was a vacancy. There was no presence. There was no security.
There was a security vacancy.
Yeah, there was no presence of security in the Southwest, and especially in Ondo State and Oyo State. And so we can't go back to anarchy where life is short, brutish, and nasty. We have to find a way of providing security for life and property. And since the federal government, the state government, even the local government failed in providing security, a non-state actor, that's what we call Sunday, a state non-actor is not coming to provide these services. And I think he did it very well and excellently, and garnered support from even the South-West governors, traditional rulers, and other concerned citizens of the Southwest. I think the lesson to learn immediately is that the federal government to shape up the leadership at the federal level, starting from the president, starting from the new chief of staff we have, and then the state governor. The state governor should be seen to be in tandem with his citizens, and especially with people like Sunday Igboho, because they have the same goal and purpose to provide security for life and property in Oyo State, and especially in Oyo, Barapa area, and other adjoining local governments.
Okay, thank you, Nat. it appears that the government is hands up in saying that we cannot deal with this. In Zamfara, they had to pay bandits. In Kaduna State, they have to pay the kidnappers, the cattle rustlers. It appears that the government is not willing to take its position concerning this securing of the state and has decided to negotiate with all the bandits and kidnappers, and we don't know whether this is right or not, but it appears that's the way the federal government is going now. Once they know you are an armed robber, they will come and negotiate with you. They know you are a cattle rustler, they will negotiate with you. They know you are a kidnapper, they will negotiate with you. Listen to this clip and judge yourself. I will then call on Mazi to see if that is the right way to go. Listen to this clip as government officials negotiate with Miyetti Allah.
The federal government, led by the Minister of Interior Abdulrahman Dambazo, met with the Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria in Kebbi State, offering them the sum of 100 billion naira over 2 years to stop the kidnapping in the country. The meeting lasted over 4 hours on Friday as negotiations dragged on, with the association initially asking for 160 billion naira. The minister said that the strategy was part of the steps needed to tackle insecurity in the country as prescribed by the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS. The herdsman crisis has risen since 2015 after Muhammadu Buhari became president. Their rampage has spread not only in the north but also throughout the southern zones of the country. The killings by the herdsmen has led them to be tagged the fourth most dangerous and deadly terrorist group in the world by the World Terror Index. The acting Inspector General of Police, Muhammad Adamu, who was also at the meeting in Kebbi State, added that over 1,000 people have been killed and many more kidnapped in Kaduna. However, he said that this intervention was necessary to bring the criminals to book. The Kebbi State Governor Atiku Bagudu said hosting the meeting in his state shows the seriousness of President Muhammadu Buhari's administration in tackling the security challenges in the country. Responding, the president of the association, Alhaji Muhammad Kirua, said the meeting would serve as a foundation for peace between the Fulani headsmen and farmers and among Fulanis themselves. Roots TV, Nigeria.
Credits to Roots TV there. Mazi, you have heard with your own ears. The Miyetti Allah were asking for 160 billion naira to stop banditry and cattle rustling and disturbing the farmers. But the federal government said 100 billion naira. What do you say? Are you going to negotiate or not?
Well, it's unfortunate that Nigeria has allowed itself to be brought to this very challenging moment or period of its existence, whereby, like I said earlier on, when you allow certain individuals to use the art of conflict and violence to emerge as warlords and terrors to the community, the state, and the nation as a whole, and you as a government fails to bring this to a very strong end, then you create the vacuum whereby negotiation becomes the day activity. And when you look at it from a point of argument, people will say that when the Niger Delta militancies were ravaging and causing havoc on the creeks and on the Atlantic Oceans and on the oil rigs, the government ended up negotiating and bringing about the amnesty issue, and billions were spent to bring the likes of Tompolo, Ateketom, Asere Dokubo, and many others to submit to having peace in the Niger Delta. So the Boko Haram and the bandits are buying into that same idea, because when you set a precedent that you are not able to manage, its context as the years go by. You open more room for people to create their own avenue of negotiations and money making. You could imagine when we're saying Nigeria is borrowing, and we borrow to pay people who end up. Look, there's one principle in negotiation with terrorism. You cannot end terrorism by negotiating with terrorists. The more you negotiate and pay them, the more they become more equipped,
stronger,
and more violent. You look at what is happening in the Somalian high sea piracy. The more the Americans give them money from the backyard, the more they begin to do more piracy jobs. They can't end. It's all the same thing in Syria. So the issue here is the more Nigerians are negotiating with these people who say they are Métis Allah under the influence of that organization, the more money you ask yourself, these Boko Haram people, where do they get the whole? You see 200 people on a motorbike. Where did they get the motorbikes from? You see people with trucks, armored trucks, fully weaponized. And you also say, where did they get money to get this? These are the whole thing. So you can't continue to negotiate with terrorists and expect the best. The whole money given to most people in the Niger Delta, they have used it to equip themselves and preparing for the war, the day that war will bust out. They don't think that they ate the whole money or they use it to build mansions. They have to equip themselves. So little by little, Sunday Igboho is building his own empire. One day he will start negotiating with the Southwest government. Start negotiating with them. You either pay me billions of naira, or there won't be peace in the Southwest. He has been able to sideline the headlines, the herdsmen and the Fulani from entering the Southwest. But now, because he has been able to achieve that result, he sees himself as more effective than the police and the army. And then the next thing is he begins to call the Southwest governors all sorts of names, propaganda, and the next thing, like he has already started telling them that he knows more about them than they think they know about him. And before you know, negotiation starts. You either pay him or he starts creating havoc. And that is the same thing that is going on in the Southeast at the moment now. You find out this new outfit of Eastern Security Network getting itself ready for another overwhelming situation in the Southeast. Before you realize what is happening, somebody will rise as the leader of that group, and it becomes a warlord. And then the next thing, he starts negotiating with the governors.
All right, let me ask you, Dr. Owa.
The money that should be used for social intervention from the collective.
Let me ask Dr. Owa how he feels about a negotiation. Dr. Owa, how do you feel with the government, federal government, state government negotiating with bandits and kidnappers and terrorists? How do you feel as a Nigerian? Is that the way to go, especially having seen how they do it in other places?
I agree with Mazi. It's absolutely wrong. That money should have been used to beef up our own law enforcement services so they can actually take up the role to protect the populace. As I said, the second you start endorsing or empowering all these political groups, they would become stronger and they will also become more disruptive and see themselves as being above the law. It's the same process that produced the Boko Haram. The same process almost produced an independent Niger Delta militant situation. The same process is going on in the Southeast. You'll have the same thing in the Southwest, and you'll have multiple groups. And that's the way you have warlords developing. I'm sure that was a pattern of the appearance of warlords in the Horn of Africa. Nigerian government, in my view, are making a grave error of judgment in endorsing you could call them political groups, you could call them criminals, you could call them thugs, but they're making a grave error by continuously funding them. It's just the same thing with funding, paying off people to stop kidnapping, stopping any form of criminality. In other words, they are being blackmailed by these people, and it's not going to stop.
Thank you very much. We see this repeating itself in different states. The federal government and the state government trying to bribe the bandits and kidnappers. We see it repeating itself. We'll go on a short break. When we return, I'll show you a clip where a governor is giving his own ultimatum. Let's go on a break. We'll be back with that clip. Welcome back. This is You Decide on Ben Television, and insecurity has taken over most of our discussions, and rightly so. We cannot exist without the state providing the security that is needed. Somalia has given us a clear example of where warlords determine what happens. We also saw post-Gaddafi in Libya, with warlords determining and tearing the country into three parts. Something has to be done. Wole Soyinka is not impressed about Muhammadu Buhari's style, and Akeredolu of Ondo State had to give ultimatum 7 days for the Fulani herdsmen, and the Fulanis took it personally, that as if it was ethnic cleansing, according to them. But then it's because of the lacuna provided by the federal government and the state governments not operating within their own sphere and space. Now let's listen to this governor from Akwa Ibom. He's giving his own point.
We've seen a trace of it today because some people were arrested with fake army uniforms. They came with 18 AK-47 and they were arrested. But unfortunately, as I'm speaking right now, as those people were arrested, the QRS person, through the order of the Commissioner of Police, were asking that those people should all be let go. And before this time, fortunately, some of our guys were able to capture this thing with their phones. So we have pictures of the fake army uniforms those people were wearing. We are going to play for the whole world to see. The 18 AK-47 recovered by the police. Police have allowed them to take them all back. This is the same war sword that was pronounced. The IG of police we've reported this thing to the highest order. We've reported this to the presidency, to all the arms of the security agencies. And nobody has taken steps to address it. So they are leaving Akwa Ibom people to defend themselves. Meanwhile, they are using our own oil money to maintain security. Just recently, the SS crude account that was kept for our own people had been used to acquire military weapons. We didn't know those weapons were used to come and intimidate Akwa Ibom people. So we've called on all the powers that be. We've called on the international community that this is a war that has been declared. I've never heard where Nigeria police is a partisanship. This is the first time where the entire police structure is belonging to a particular political party. But since we don't have the police, we don't have anything except God that we have on our people. We want to let the whole world know that whatever happens in this state is caused by the police, not any other arm of the agency, but the police force. With the people that the court had actually declared as illegal occupants of that seat. And today he led them into the place with talks. And we're calling on all that let the police force be called to order. They should go and defend Nigerian territories where need be. They were meant to maintain peace and order, internal peace and order, not to cause chaos in someone's state. And if they are playing politics this way, there's no hope for democracy in this country. And this is in line with the plan. We have their script. That number one, they want to cause mayhem in the state. So the election will not be held. The same day general election will be called. But we are trying to tell them if election is not held on that week, we can't hold election on that same day. They should forget election here. Either you hold election the same day everybody is, forget about elections here. Elections must be held the same day. That is what they are trying to perpetrate here now. And you need to see, they've injured a lot of our people. They've destroyed people's houses. And police are supervising them to do this. Which country has this ever happened? And we've reported this, they tend to ignore. I've called the IG police operations. Who's supposed to call this into order? He promised me he was going to call this to order. Nothing has been done. We've tried to reach IG of police since morning. He has rebuffed us. Why should this happen in a country that has constitution, there's law, and everybody here is a citizen? Nobody was brought into Nigeria. Nobody here is an alien. So we are warning the whole country now that Akwa Ibom State is on.
That was Akwa Ibom State Governor warning the whole country and saying that the police have been accomplice into all the evils perpetrated. Not only an accomplice, but even getting out the suspects so that no one is prosecuted. And it's just, this is a governor. This is not making it up. And he's saying that is the partisanship of the Nigerian police that is surprising him most. Never happened, but now the whole Nigerian police structure has been given to a particular party, according to him. Nat, you want to quickly bring us to why governors like Akeredolu and Emmanuel of Akwa Ibom, why all of them are disillusioned in the security apparatus of the Nigerian polity?
Well, the challenge is with the structure. I will tend to agree with the governor of Akwa Ibom State. That is politicizing security in Nigeria, and again the security outfits, the police especially that I mentioned, the IG of police, Inspector General of Police, is appointed by the president, and it seems most of the security chiefs or outfit have more loyalty to the president than to the country and its citizens. What we have seen in the past is when a chief security officer is appointed at police or even the military, the Air Force and the Navy, they want to provide protection for the government in power than protection for the citizens.
Okay, let me quickly ask you a question. Does it mean the change of staff now, will it lead to a better security in Nigeria, in your own opinion?
In my own opinion, there is no guarantee. Because the last service chiefs stayed in office for 5 to 6 years because the president allowed them to be there. And first and foremost, their loyalty want to go to the commander-in-chief, who should be there to protect the interest of Nigeria and not his own interest or the interest of his office or even the political party. You notice that even the way security operations are spread out. You're talking of a crocodile dance and python dance and all these things. It's just focused on a particular section of the country. It's not evenly spread. And so when a situation arises that a non-state actor like Igboho wants to assist the government, and the government wants to arrest him. But meanwhile, we have seen other state-known actors giving quick notices, and the federal government have not said anything about arresting them. Even when they want, even when they see it out, it's a different thing they are going to do in the public. So I just want to end that the challenge the new crop of security officers have, that time is not on their side. They should know that before 2023 or before then, they will be gone, and they have barely 2 years to make any serious mark, either to build a legacy.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I know that time is fast spent, and Dr. Owa had to attend to important matters, and we only discussed 2 issues today: the vaccination going on, and the people appearing to, some people trying not to receive it for various cultural and spiritual reasons, and the other one is insecurity. But before Dr. Owa leave us, Dr. Owa, may I ask you, what's your last word for the people, the Africans in diaspora, or actually the BME, the Black and Minority Ethnic Group? What would be your last word, because so that we can round up the program with insecurity in Nigeria?
Okay, the first thing I'd like to point out, the very last clip that you had, where a gentleman was commenting on what Anthony Fauci said. The gentleman that was making the comment was actually British. He should realize, or people should realize, that the way the Americans speak English is very different from the way we speak English in the United Kingdom. The Americans tend to be very direct in their use of language. So what they may well come across using terms like, we intend that you take it, for them it's normal parlance. Whereas here, you seem to be aggressive as if it's a command. So that needs to be taken into consideration when you're listening to videos which cuts across different cultures and different languages. I experienced that during my 1 year of fellowship in the United States, where I had to try and learn how they speak English and translate to English proper, and then translate it back in the way that they will understand. That's one thing to bear in mind. There's a lot of misinformation that's been going around about the vaccine. One, it will not kill viruses, but it will protect you from serious effects of viruses, and it's worth taking. It will reduce the chance of you needing hospital admission, because not every single patient goes in to a hospital. Not every person that has COVID needs to go into a hospital. So taking the vaccine will prevent you having to go to hospital and spend so many days off sick. It would help in combination with the social distancing, face covering, and general increase in personal hygiene, combined with vaccination, will help getting us back to the new normal, to a normalcy, whereby people will be able to communicate with each other and do transactions with each other. Without the vaccine, without everyone developing the great herd immunity, which will reduce pressure on the NHS, for one, we would all be in the same boat for many years to come. And that's why the government's having to take this, the action it's taking in terms of giving emergency authorization for the vaccines. It's not geared against any ethnic group. It's for every single citizen and every single person that's entitled to the vaccine in the United Kingdom. And they're making great strides, even over and above Europe, into making sure that the populace is vaccinated fully and protected to a high degree from the effects of COVID-19 virus.
I know this is not your watch. Joe Biden in the US, you think you'll be able to cover 100 million vaccination in 100 days?
US is a country that's always had great potential to achieve things that they set their mind to. What they lacked initially was the political will to do the right thing to combat the virus. And it was mainly centered around politics. The politicization of COVID-19, the pandemic, is what led to so many deaths, in my view, in the United States. Joe Biden's come up with a different mission in mind to serve all Americans, and he knows that if he doesn't get the virus under control, America is not going to come out of the situation it is economically. So I have very confidence that they are able to perform at least close to that level to what they've said they will do, with the cooperation of all Americans.
Dr. Anthony Owa, I must sincerely thank you for staying with us these 2 hours out of your busy schedule, and we really appreciate you. Please, we will call you as soon as we need you, because in the next few months we'll still be battling with this matter. And you are a specialist in EN and T, ear, nose, and throat. Dr. Owa, thank you very much.
You're
we
welcome.
Can release you now for now.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Mazi.
Goodbye.
Okay. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Mazi, are you still with me?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm very much here.
So you listen to the governor of Akwa Ibom. Is this thing spreading all over Southeast now? I mean, nobody is sure of the protection of the federal government anymore, and you either call on God or you are ready to do the go-hos method. Is that what is going to happen in Southeast now?
Well, I think it's very clear that the federal government has lost grip of the security architecture of Nigeria. At the moment, we should be inquiring from the government, what is their security plan? What is the national security policy of Nigeria? What are the intentions of the government to actually provide an holistic security system in the country to assure 80% of the Nigerian populace a safe and conducive environment for a thriving survival of mankind? It is very difficult to get that done. It's very difficult. It's not about changing personnel. Changing personnel is obviously good for systemic renewal. But then, if you take the personnel who do not have a clear vision of where the government is going with the security nature in the country, and they begin to play individualistic ideology. And this individualistic ideology tend to drive down to political lineage. And at the end of the day, you find that some of these political army chiefs begin to mix military politics with social politics. And at that point, there's a tendency that ethnic variation begin to play into the logics. And at the end, we find out that there is no real plan for the collective safety and healthy nation in Nigeria. So the government, first of all, the president has to give a public mandate. He has to speak out. He has to give a honest voice and order, because he is not just commander-in-chief of the armed forces by title. It's an order that has been given by the oath he took when he was entering the office, that he must live by the safety and security and the well-being of the people that he is going to serve. He's serving the people. I hate when people say he's the father of Nigerians. Father of who? When children are dying. You're father of people you're father of children that are dying every day, and you're doing nothing. I don't see that as a good father. So he needs to wake up and begin to mention areas that he knows. Buhari cannot, if Buhari is Buhari, he cannot come to Nigerian TV and say he doesn't know what is happening to Nigerian security, because he served at least half of his lifetime in the army. And he knows all the loopholes. He knows all the loopholes. He's pretending. And his body language is telling us clearly that he's pretending as if he doesn't know, but he knows. So he's
okay. Let me ask.
He has to, at this moment, he has to come and speak out. We know where the problem is. And because he knows where the shoe is biting, he's not ready to take that shoe out. I've listened to your advice. I've listened to your advice to Mr. President of Nigeria. Let me listen to what Nat will be telling the president of Nigeria. You listened to Mazi just now, that he should come out and tell us a new strategy. Nat, if you are sitting in front of President Buhari, what will you be advising him?
I think what I will advise him President Buhari is to provide a purposeful, visionary leadership for the times in which we are in. Leadership in the time of crisis is different from leadership at peacetime. I want to boldly say we're at war, both internally and externally. And as a former military head of state, and then you have done first time, second time, your leadership style should be seen to be conforming with what is on ground. And again, you haven't given an opportunity for another Idi Agbon to spring up, who will be calling the shot on your behalf. And so everybody is calling the shot, and you can't achieve any goals when leadership or even leadership and authority is delegated. That is not, it won't happen. So Buhari has to sit up and shape up.
Sit up and shape up. Okay, we're coming to the end of this program today, and we want to wish Biden and Harris all the best in life, that they'll be able to steer their nation to success in the next 4 years. Some Nigerians have come together and said if they were Nigerians, especially from the Yoruba ethnic group, this is how they would look like. Now, they have even been given some names, and they said Biden should be called Adewale Joseph Biden, and this is his inauguration dress code. Oh, and Kamala should be called Funke Ashake Harris, and this is how she will have looked like if she had come from Nigeria. Well, we want to wish them well. In closing, Mazi, what will you say in 30 seconds?
Well, thank you, Doc. I would like to say that Nigerians should mind Nigerian business and focus on driving the Nigerian agenda and hope for the best for the country they call Nigeria. We are getting to a point where now, if you put Nigerian passport at some airport, you may not be allowed to fly. So we should not be.
No. Joe and Kamala are there. You can see they're Nigerians now. They are Nigerians.
Let Nigerians forget about Joe and Kamala. They have nothing to do with Nigeria. Let's focus on Buhari and Osinbajo. Where are you taking us to? Can they dress Buhari and Osinbajo in a global attire with an international practice in their head?
Okay, Mazi. Mazi, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, what will you say in 30 seconds?
Kamala and Joe.
Nati Yako, what will you say in 30 seconds?
Well, in such a time like this, we need visionary, purposeful leadership from Buhari, and he should be nationalistic in outlook.
All right, let me thank you, my colleagues on this program, Mazi Gosin Azu, in-house political analyst, Zanat Iyakwo, our in-house researcher, and we had a guest speaker earlier, Dr. Anthony Owa, a surgeon specialist and who operates in different continents, the USA continent, the African continent, of course, Europe here. And so we have he had been there and in these three continents, as he told us, he had his fellowship in the USA. So he had the American, African, and the European connection. I pray we'll be able to get him in future. And to you, our viewers, we appreciate very much. Next Wednesday, we'll be lining up for you again how to make living better, whichever continent you are. This program is You Decide and is from Ben Television. My name is Shegun Johnson. Until next Wednesday, God bless you all.